Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Call to Netherdeep and the reason you should buy the book. All right, so Call to Netherdeep, should you buy it? Yes, you should. So let me explain why. For one reason and for one reason. There might be multiple reasons for you to buy the book, but there's one reason that's enough, right? So one, it's $50, right? And I'm just talking to people who have the cheddar, right? If you don't have the cheddar, always feel released from having to buy a D&D book. You definitely shouldn't. If you're a tier 1 dungeon master, first of all, I don't know if there are a lot of tier 1 dungeon masters that are poor, only because the things you need to be a tier 1 dungeon master are incredibly valuable to any employer in the world. The ability to communicate, the ability to be charismatic, the ability to be intelligent, the ability, to be creative, all these things. Like getting a job right now is like falling off a log. Like it's like literally like my wife is a stay-at-home mom. We realized if we're not careful, she will end up having like 3 jobs at once. It's incredible. Everybody in the world is hiring directly sideways, upside down now. It's incredible, right? So I don't. People keep assuring me that there are poor tier 1 dungeon masters. Maybe there is. I never met one, right? Like, let me call it out if you're one. I'd love to hear it, but the reality is it's hard for me to understand that. So, but if you're a tier 1 dungeon master, the question is, are you going to get $50 worth of value from a book, right? Well, first of all, there's definitely $50 worth of value in Call to Netherdeep, and I'll tell you the one thing that you can buy this book for, and you're going to get every dime worth, right? And that is the Rival Adventuring Party. There is a Rival Adventuring Party in here. There's like a Water Genasi, there's an adventuring team that is composed of a Water Genasi, an ogre, a goblin, a human, and a drow, right? And it's the Rival Adventuring Team. And what it does is, unlike any other current version Dungeons & Dragons book, it explains how to, it gives you a rival adventuring group, right? And it definitely gives you it serves as a template. It doesn't say this is how you make a rival adventuring group. It just shows it, right? Like you're like, it'd be like if somebody just built a table in front of you and said nothing, right? They wouldn't be teaching you how to do it, but you just saw it, right? Like, and that's what they're doing here. This rival adventuring team that is in Call to Netherdeep is worth the price of admission. It's literally worth $50, right? Now, what's happening with this rival adventuring team? One, it totally works. I love this idea of putting rival adventuring teams into any adventure you run in Dungeons & Dragons. You don't have to do it. You don't want to do anything all the time in every adventure. Like you want to have some play, right? You want one campaign to be different from another. So you shouldn't put in rival adventuring teams in every campaign, but you should definitely use them like 1 out of 3, right? Or maybe even 2 out of 3, right? And the reason why is like normally player characters have all the time in the world. Maybe they're pressed by the villain, blah blah blah, right? But I love this idea of the villain's out there. The villain needs to be stopped, but you might not be the one that stops him. All the glory, all the magical items, all the coin might go to a rival group, right? And Call to Netherdeep does a spectacular job of showing the value of a rival adventuring party. And I think a lot of dungeon masters I've definitely done this before, right? And I think a lot of dungeon masters have done this out there. But what's there in Call to Netherdeep? The modern approach, right? And the modern approach from increasingly the best dungeon master on the planet. I don't think it is uncontestable now. It is uncontestable. Matthew Mercer is bar none the best dungeon master on the planet. There is no exception to this, right? Because he's doing it all. He's literally creating Dungeons & Dragons current edition books. He is outperforming, like his games are watched at a level nobody else's games are, and he's doing more to draw new players to the hobby than anyone else on the planet, right? If there's a race for best dungeon master in the world, he's so far ahead. I don't even think he can see the person who's behind him, right? Matthew Mercer is the best dungeon master on the planet, and he really does a spectacular job of showing how to do this right today, right? Now you're like, well, what's it matter to do today? Because this ain't 1984, and you need to do different things. There is a state-of-the-art process for dungeon mastering. Like, this isn't, you can't just This ain't your granddad's Buick, right? This ain't your father's Buick, right? Like, you need new processes and new tools and new design and hierarchy and a whole bunch of other ideas. This rival adventuring party is absolutely spectacular and called Netherdeep. It is worth every penny of the $50 you'll pay for the book. Get Called Netherdeep for the rival adventures alone, right? That's my take. What's your take? Have you gotten this book? What did you think of it? Love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. If you didn't get it, why didn't you get it? I'd love to hear that. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.